the view! Ew! This is so fucking good! How's it? Please excuse the silly head mounts. I'm too lazy to take it off. But yeah, I got something kind of interesting today. I got my new bike about a month ago, maybe a month and a half, 2 months ago, I'm not really sure. And yeah, I just want to show you what's going on. The brand is something some of you might be familiar with. The brand is Quick or Quick Pro. It's a Chinese brand, so yeah, the name is, you know, some people might have some opinions on the name, but you know, to each their own. And yeah, I'm going to show you what's on mine and just explain how it's been so far and how I feel about it, and yeah, I'll just give you a bit of a walkthrough, so enjoy. Okay, so this is it. Please excuse the dirtiness of it. I did actually wash it before this ride, but in China they clean the roads with these big water trucks, so that just ends up making the muck on the road nice and wet, and then it flicks up onto the bike and stays there. So that's why the rear wheel is pretty gross. Anyway, this is my new bike. It's the Quick Pro AR1 frame, AR standing for all round. They do also have an aero frame coming called the ER1, and they've got a climbing frame called the SR1, but this is the all-round version. I've got the CRW Craft Racing Works 5060s on there, and the bars are a set of Tavello bars. So I've actually just taken the Tavello integrated bar and stem, and I had a little 3D printed spacer made up so that everything's nicely integrated and all flush, and it's working a treat so far. So yeah, it's a 110 stem with a 40 centimeter wide bar. It's got the nice integrated little mount there that Tavello sends with the bar. It's a really nice bar, actually. I'm really liking it. A friend gave me this top cap, so I've got a bit of a design going. He gave it to me for my birthday. It's a bit of a nice interesting pattern there. Titanium top cap. I sweat a shitload, so that's quite nice to have a definitely not rusting top cap. Other than that, this bike, the frame weight in a size large, so this particular one is a size large, and it weighed 805 grams, which is pretty nuts considering it's a large frame and it's not a specifically climbing style frame. So 805 grams for the frame. I've got the fork weight in a picture somewhere. I'll chuck it up on the screen if I can find it. Can't remember, I'm not going to make any claims, but the overall weight of this bike as you see it now is 7 kilos on the dot. It's got a Cybre carbon crankset on it in 165 millimeters. Again, sorry about the dirt, this road situation, it just flicks up everything and it's quite gross. I've got an XKD power meter, a 165 mil Cybre crank, and a 5236 alloy Cybre chainring. And then the group set on this is Shimano's 8170 12-speed Ultegra, obviously bulletproof, very well tried and tested, no problems there. And the seat post is the seat post that comes with the frame. Also, in fact, this is an updated one because it's a 0 offset. This frame is quite long. The reach on it was a bit too long for me, so I got a 0 offset seat post. And then this seat is just some carbon off Taobao, which is basically like the Chinese version of Amazon, or it's an unbranded seat. I think it mimics the Bontrager shape, so the cutout and stuff is very similar to the Bontrager one. Nice big channel in there to take some pressure off the undercarriage. I'm quite a heavy boy. I'm right now like what, 82 83 kgs. So yeah, a bit of extra pressure relief is nice for me. Tires, Schwalbe or Schwalbe, I'm not really sure. Pro 1 TLE 28 mils. In the future I might end up going bigger. I've watched Jesse Coyle and a couple of others, Peak Talk, China Cycling, all the rest, experimenting with wider and wider tires. So because of my weight I might actually end up going with a 30 or a 32 at some point, but I just went with 28s for now. And what else is there to say about this? The stiffness, this thing is crazy stiff. So it's crazy stiff to the point where it's almost a little bit uncomfortable, but that obviously can be somewhat neutralized by softer tires. So when I'm feeling like this thing's getting a bit too hard, I will just drop the tire pressure a bit. If I'm going for an effort or whatever, maybe I'll keep it a bit higher. I generally run between like 65 and 75. And then if I'm doing some real dumb nonsense where Joe decides to take us to some shitty gravel road, then I'll drop it down to like 55. And yeah, it's a pretty capable bike, even in fucking random roads, with pretty terrible road surfaces and whatnot. Gearing ratio, I got a 34 on the back, so it's 52, 36, 11, 34. My legs are not that strong, so I'm not pushing a 54 or 53 on the front yet. Hopefully we'll get there, but work's been a bit hectic. And yeah, I've put a new sticker on this because the original logo is the black like that, but I wanted just to be able to see the logo a bit, so got a grey sticker and quite liking it for now. Might change it in the future to some bright colors or something. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, this is it, the Quick Pro AR1. So far I'm having an absolute blast on it. Down there is the side of this island that I live on, and there's that 16k segment that starts off down there and ends all the way around the other side. Smashed my PB on my first ride on this bike by a long way, so I think we're sitting 6th on Strava amongst a couple of professional triathletes. So very happy with that one. Other than that, I've done a race on it around an island in Pingtan, which was probably it wasn't very fast. Like my average speed was, I think, like 33 point something, but for me that was a really good effort. So like compared to my previous efforts for a race of that distance, which was like what, 80 something k's, like 1,000 meters of climbing, to average that speed was pretty good for me. Had a bit of shit with guys in my group who weren't willing to work. As soon as we got dropped from the first bunch, we were in the elite group with the pros. As soon as we got dropped from the first group, those guys just pumped the brakes and just sat on my wheel because they didn't really want to work. But I was trying to keep the speed up. And then obviously, like at some point, they eventually saved enough energy and dropped me. But that was much later in the race. They dropped me in like the last 15 Ks. And then I crawled home by myself. Big brain moves. Ha, you live and learn. Sometimes just living, no learning. But yeah, absolutely frothing on this thing. It's a great bike. And the wheels, obviously the craft racing wheels are very well documented, so I'm not going to say much about those. The Cybrake carbon cranks, also well documented, not going to say much about those. Everybody that's ridden them seems to really rate them. I rate them a lot. And the power meter's accurate. I've got Cybrake bottle cages on there as well. Fuck, everything's so dirty. Anyway, cheers for listening. Hit me up with any comments or questions you have in the comment section. Thanks. One thing I forgot to mention earlier is that this also has a BSA threaded bottom bracket. So you're not going to be dealing with any sort of press fit, let's say, inconsistencies. Obviously press fits has got a reputation for sometimes being a bit out of whack or not quite round or whatever it is, but nice threaded BSA BB in there, so that might also, well, not might, but in my opinion it's quite a big plus.